Wonderful experience to be here. And thank you very much, Dad, for the wonderful words. Um, my story really, it began with a tragedy. I was working in Virginia, living near my parents and running my own security company. We had bodyguards and private investigators and armed security and very much living my life. And that all abruptly came to a halt when I was assaulted and broke my leg. I broke it in multiple places and ended up needing multiple surgeries. I had some infections that happened and they wanted to take my leg. They didn't think that it was possible to put it back together in a way that I would have any quality of life. And so I saved my leg thanks to my mother. And for the next 5 years, I spent addicted to painkillers and on almost 20 medications. I was diagnosed with extreme PTSD and put on disability for that, and spent a few years in Washington State trying to find a path to healing, and it just didn't seem possible with the doctors and what they were prescribing me. I had new symptoms that would manifest based on a new medication, and it just seemed like there was no balance point. And so I hit rock bottom. I didn't want to live like that anymore. I had my father who was supporting me at the time, and he had all kinds of things going on with other family members, and I just felt like I was being a drain on my family, and really had no course for healing. And so one day I went out frustrated and kind of yelled at the sky and spoke to the God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, and said, I don't want to live this way anymore. There has to be a path to healing. I've got nothing left to look forward to in my life. I've lost everything that was meaningful to me, and I want to find a path to healing. And if you show me a path, I'll spend the rest of my life helping others find the same path. And that was really the beginning of my journey. Within a few weeks, I was told that I could get employment, very limited, and a small amount of money I could make each month. And the only job that was within those guidelines was a bud tender position at an opening marijuana store in Washington State. And so I took that job and began to learn about cannabinoids and terpenes, and began to experiment with different products, and soon found things that worked. And through those experiences and learning from different cultivars and processors that came into the store, I was able to find a path to healing. It took about 2 years of consistent effort, but with Dad's help financially, I think we spent almost $10,000 on CBD products. I was able to find a method that worked, and I did a few 3-month courses of healing using CBD in different types. The first 2 times I ended up having tainted products, which I knew nothing of, but there were heavy metals and pesticides in there. And so I got a lot sicker and threw those away, and kind of was disillusioned with the whole process. And it was Dad who said, son, if you think this is going to work, don't let money be the option. I'll send you what you need. Tell me what it's going to cost. And, Dad's selflessness and compassion is a big reason of why we're sitting here and having this conversation. And I begrudgingly took the money and paid for it again. And, again, had mixed results, and thought, I can't believe I screwed up Dad's money again. I've run out. I didn't get my full 3 months worth. What am I doing here? And again, I was a little disillusioned, but didn't lose faith. And through a synchronistic conversation, found out that a friend of mine from high school had started a CBD company in Texas, of all places, and I'd grown up in Australia. So I contacted him, told him my situation, and he sent me a whole box of capsules, pure organic CBD oil. And I used that for 3 months, and that was really the point where my health started to ascend to new levels. And I worked with that company and learned more about CBD, and saw a huge gap between what was being offered and what was available from the plant. What I was seeing was CBD oil being replicated with different flavors and in different product types, but it was the same CBD oil every time, which seemed to warrant that it would be the same effect every time. And I knew that terpenes held really some powerful healing potential, and that it was different terpenes within the cannabis and hemp plant that had really helped my healing along. And so I started to experiment with terpenes and found different terpenes that helped me with my ADHD. And I was able to get off ADHD medication. Found some that helped with my PTSD, and created what is now our calm infusion, and was able to get off my PTSD medication. And then took myself off of arthritic gels that I was being prescribed, and made topicals. And really the evolution of the products that we now have as part of Jampha were to heal myself and other members of our family. That journey led me to fulfilling my promise to the universe, which was to share what I had found and to light a path for others to find healing. And we created Jampha. Jampha is a Tibetan word that means loving kindness. When we created the company, I knew what the word was. I knew what it meant. I needed a name for the company that just seemed to fit. I'd never met a Tibetan person, knew very little about Tibetan culture other than it resonated with me. And I'd had dreams since I was a child of monks and singing mantras with deep guttural tones and things that I didn't understand as a child. And so there were these two aspects of the company. One, Jampha, loving kindness, with its Tibetan symbolism and meaning, and the other part, which was really my own ignorance to anything to do with Tibet. And so it's at a point about 2 years into the journey, I said, well, we have a Tibetan name for our company. Tibetan medicine is, as far as I can gather, the most unadulterated, pure lineage of botanical and mineral knowledge and wisdom that's been handed down on the planet. Why aren't we tapping into this? And so my fiance and I, Karina, we went to our hemp farm in Arkansas, which is on the crystal grid. Very, very powerful place for manifestation. And we wrote on a piece of paper that we wanted to bring forward a Tibetan master of healing that could help us to fulfill our mission to heal the world. And we wrote it down and burnt it in fire and set the intention. And within a few weeks, Karina came in one day and said, I got a weird LinkedIn message. And I said, oh yeah, what's the message? She said, look, it's a guy, he says his name's Amchi, he's a Tibetan doctor and he wants to come and visit our facility. And I said, oh, didn't even resonate with what I'd written on that piece of paper, because you write things like that down, then you forget about them, right? And about 3 months went past, we emailed back and forth. I thought, why doesn't this guy have a phone? Why can't he call me? And he never showed up. I didn't know he didn't have a license. And then one day after 3 months, he showed up and he walked in the facility, and I'll tell you, it's things started to buzz, and there was a very deep, profound recognition that we both had for each other. And that began a journey into Tibetan medicine and the spiritual aspects of the tradition of Sowa Rigpa, of which Amchi Thurston is a master. We've spoken, I think, every day for the past 2 years, and he's helped me to understand what I needed to about botanical and mineral medicine, and continues to help me to expand that knowledge and wisdom. He's now our master formulator and formulates all of our products, and has very much married what we've learned about cannabinoids and terpenes with Tibetan medicine and the traditions of Sowa Rigpa. And so we've created a Tibetan pharmacy line of herbal elixirs that use cannabinoids and terpenes, and we begin to release these to the world. We have many, many more creations that are built up, ready to release, but we just have to do it one at a time. And what you see now is a culmination of Amchi's 30 years of expression of Tibetan medicine into Western culture through TibetanPharmacy.com and gojiberry.com. They've now combined with Jampha, and we've joined in our expression and become partners, and we're very much working together tirelessly to provide as many healing tools and resources to the world as possible.
Oh, it's just so beautiful and so aligned. Just wow. What an absolute gift to be able to utilize and experience and share this in the United States. Something that most would never get to experience. And you talked about in your journey with PTSD and pain and all these things, being able to utilize CBD, let alone now what you've created. There's so many out there that this can support and this can shift, because we have the suffrage of anxiety, of PTSD, but a lot of these medications that people are taking for these, it's just a different version of betraying themselves and not being present in life. It's just, am I not going to be present because I'm anxious, or am I not going to be present because I'm on some medication that does not serve me, that's depleting nutrients from my body, that's stealing me away from my life? And to be able to serve our body in such a beautiful and aligned way with greater results, that's massive. Absolutely massive. So thanks for all the work that you're doing to put so much consciousness and so much beauty into healing. I'd love to hear more. I'm certainly ignorant on these Tibetan medicines and everything. So if we could go a little bit more into some of the formulations and what you're using and why you're using it, that would be really cool.
Yeah, we actually have begun distributing traditional Tibetan pills that are actually produced in the monasteries, the medical monasteries. And so these are handed down recipes for these formulations that are 2,500 years old, some of them, and have been
Wow.
refined through time. Amchi Thubten Lekshi he's a Westerner. He was born here in the United States. He went to the East to seek out more training and was one of the first Westerners who was given permission by the Dalai Lama to be fully endowed into the traditions of Sowa Rigpa. So he came back to the West with that 12 years of education that he received there from high lamas and teachers of Tibetan medicine, and was able to take what he learned from Western medicine and Tibetan medicine and bridge the two in really profound and unique and advanced expressions. And so what we do now is we create new expressions of Tibetan medicine, but we also hold in memoriam and continue to offer traditional Tibetan pills. And so we've just released our first one actually on our website, which is called Happiness of Mind. I've been taking those now twice a day, 2 pills for about a month and a half. I sleep much better. I wake up and I just feel present and thankful. I don't have a million things crossing my mind of what I need to get done during the day. Since I was a child, I had a disease that I was diagnosed with called acromegaly, and I've always had this kind of electrical signal in my heart that's been off, and it's almost felt like my heart's palpitated a little bit sometimes when I get anxious. Well, that electrical signal seems to have restored and balanced out again, and I haven't experienced that since I was young, even with all of the botanicals and plant medicine I've experienced. Very profound for emotional stability and just being in a place of presence without anxiety or fears or repetitive thought patterns. So just in the experience that I've had with that one Tibetan pill, I would be sold. But thankfully, our Amchi has gifted us with many of the Tibetan pills so that we could try them ourselves. I actually just had some form of a pathogen. I woke up on Sunday morning and my throat was closed up and I just felt really weak and lethargic. And he said, come and get these 3 pills. And I thought, oh, I'll go and get them tomorrow. Hopefully I'm feeling better. I thought, no, I'll go get them today. So I probably should have been sick for a few more days, but last night I had this beautiful pill wrapped in a turquoise cloth and I put it in my tea and it tasted very peppery and I drank it last night. I woke up before 5 a.m. this morning. I read for an hour, worked out in my gym, got all my cleaning done for the day and organization, and 7:30 came around and I thought, wow, I've got all my stuff done. Now what do I do? And here we are at a meeting. And so that's
Wow.
really the effectiveness and the power of this botanical supportive system that Tibetan medicine really offers. It's a system where we're not trying to treat the symptoms, we're really supporting the master healer within. And all of us have that. It's an innate part of us. It's always been there. And when you awaken that part of yourself, you start to have the intuition and the understanding of what needs to be done and what your body needs to heal. And so the first part of really what we try to do is to awaken that and then to support it with beautiful, vibrant botanicals and organic terpenes and organic cannabinoids. And we very much infuse every one of the products with beautiful healing energy. We use special mantras for healing that are sung by Tibetan doctors to the products. We do that with every product that we create. We use solfeggio and different crystals and different sacred geometry to make sure that the highest healing potential is carried from each of the ingredients and into their final combined infusion. Some of the products that we created, I'll give you a little bit of a history on the first ones that we did together. The first one that I asked Amchi to create, I said, we have COVID, we have all of this stuff with spike proteins and shedding and nasty stuff with viruses, whatever is going to come because of that. What can we do to help people have preventative measures to be able to protect themselves with all of these things floating around the air? And he said, oh, we need to make a Tibetan antibiotic. And we'll call it Turquoise Dragon. 2 days before that, synchronistically, one of my business partners said I was in an antique store and saw this turquoise ring with 2 dragons on it with a big piece of turquoise in the middle. And I knew I had to get it for you. So Amchi sends me an email and says, we'll call this Turquoise Dragon. I look at the ring, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And that's one of thousands of synchronicities that happen like that. The Turquoise Dragon it's a broad spectrum antibiotic. Tibetans don't have antibiotics like we do. This is very much what the plant and mineral kingdoms have to offer to protect our bodies and to fortify us from viral infections and pathogens and bacterial infections. So we created that one. We started sharing it with people that had COVID and all other types of viruses, and it just proved to be extremely effective. I've
I need
used
to
it.
write this down. I'm like, this is coming to Egypt with my group next week, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend that.
Okay.
So Turquoise Dragon became that was really where Amchi showed us what his 50 years of experience had culminated to, and we were just profoundly touched by it. I started taking it just to take it, and my energy levels went through the roof. It seemed like my chi centers were all clearing, and my my psychic ability started to wake up. Things that you don't find just taking a product that you buy on a shelf somewhere.
Right. They
And
normally shut that off. It shuts
yeah,
all these things,
right.
like actually block our connection to ourselves and to the universe.
Yeah, and that's why they don't work as well as they need to. Once you have
Right.
established that connection and support it, the sky's the limit on healing potential. That's where the miracles are born. And so we went with Turquoise Dragon. That was a huge success. We did really well with that one. And then we said, well, we had a customer who was extremely sick with multiple sclerosis. She was suffering. She was living in Australia because she didn't want to have a vaccine. The treatments that she needed weren't available to her. And she made a decision to take herself off of her medications and was looking for natural ways to be able to do that. And so I asked Amchi, I said, what does Tibetan medicine have for multiple sclerosis? And he said, oh, multiple sclerosis is part of the degenerative disorders, and polyarthritic joints have something to do with it. And it went and became something for multiple sclerosis to something for so much more. And so White Tiger has become a daily infusion that I take because I have polyarthritic joints. I have multiple types of arthritis from the injuries that I sustained. And for me, it's the difference between being able to go into a gym and lift weights like I was when I was 20 and not being incapacitated the next day, or not being able to do that. And until I met Amchi, with everything I'd learned about cannabinoids and terpenes, I wasn't able to get into a gym on a regular basis. It was just too much for my frame that had been damaged to support. And so White Tiger was able to help this woman and a whole host of other people that use our products for pain and inflammation, with not only the combined support of cannabinoids and terpenes, but the botanicals, which have been preserved in hidden treasuries of wisdom and knowledge through the Tibetan medicine traditions. And that's really what tapping into has brought us into another profound evolution in our journey. After White Tiger, we created White Elephant. That one was actually started right at the start, but it took a long time to finalize because we asked that one to do a lot as well. To really share this story, I've got to share a little bit about my mom's story. My mom was diagnosed with a pineal gland tumor. She was put under surgery in Costa Rica and died on the table. They were able to remove it, but she formed a clot in her visual cortex, which stroked, and she lost her neurons in her visual cortex, which meant she lost her vision. And so we got her in front of the best neural ophthalmologists in the world, and they all told her the same thing. It's impossible to regenerate neurons in the visual cortex. And I asked Amchi, and he didn't say it was possible. He didn't say it wasn't. He just said, we'll make something. And so we started to formulate White Elephant. And White Elephant is a nootropic, neuroregenerative formula that's made for people with neurodegenerative conditions like dementia or Alzheimer's, and also as a stimulant and a support for renewing neural pathways in the brain and supporting deep-seated healing in the brain from traumatic brain injury and just about anything that's inflammatory in nature that affects the brain. And so she's used that for months, and just the difference that I've seen in her in those 3 months. She came and visited about a month ago now, and she still struggles a little bit, but she's putting 4 6-hour days together like she was 35-year-old corporate executive again. And she's sitting on a phone and talking to people and explaining herself and being able to carry a train of thought. And she's walking down streets and riding bikes down streets, and she's legally blind, and she's been able to, in a miraculous way, regain some of her vision. And so I don't attribute all of that to White Elephant. She's done phenomenal work in so many areas of her life, but that's just one example of how these products can support a healing trajectory that's beyond conventional wisdom and what we're told is possible. So White Elephant is probably our best-selling product at present. There's a lot of issues with brain fog and cognitive issues and memory that it's really profound at helping to balance out. After White Elephant, we created Golden Eagle. Golden Eagle was in response to people that had serious lung issues, a lot of them because of cytokine storms during the first wave of COVID. That was very prevalent, caused people a lot of damage to lungs that continued to manifest in what doctors refer to as long COVID symptoms. And Golden Eagle very much helped a lot of people that were experiencing that without any avenue of healing to soothe those lung tissues and to establish a healing trajectory and to not even need to take it after a few months. Once we had completed Golden Eagle, we were pretty close to finalizing our cancer formula for targeting cancerous cells. It's an immuno integrative therapy. And that one was also because of family members. I had two uncles, both my mom's brothers, who were diagnosed with cancer around the same time and were going through conventional therapies and not having a whole lot of success. And so I mentioned this to Amchi, and he began working on the cancer formula. And I think that one took us about 6 months and a lot of time and effort. And happy to say both of those uncles are now taking that well, one of them is now taking it, and the other one is on his way back to Australia where it's waiting for him to start taking it. In addition to those, we've made a lot of other products. I won't go over every single one of them, but to share a few, we now produce our own ormus. Ormus is a alchemical process that the Egyptians, Essenes, many ancient cultures have done. It's basically taking minerals into a subatomic state or monatomic state, which is before they become metallic in nature. That very much becomes an energy food for our bodies. Can help us with vitality, energy, increasing levels of energy and focus and presence and awareness that I haven't been able to find accessible through any product in my life. And that's speaking very much, every time that I use that, I'm able to sit down and focus for obscene amounts of time. I look at my watch and say, where did the day go? So much got done without any ego getting involved, without any conflict of should I do it this way or should I do it that way? It's just a pure creative flow state. And I think so much of us seek that every day in our lives, and those moments are fleeting. And when there's a tool that can help us get there quickly, that in itself is very profound. And we have a product that uses the ormus that we create. It's called Ethereum. It also uses nano or water soluble CBD and a very powerful balancing terpene profile that's just enhancing and supportive and energy proliferating. And we call it a balance profile because it very much solicits balance in all areas of being. We also sell goji berries. Goji berries, specifically the Tibetan variety. There are different varieties of lycium berries. The Tibetan goji berries are very well-known, studied, and renowned for their medicinal properties. There are also Chinese wolfberries, which look identical to Tibetan goji berries, but they are not Tibetan goji berries. They are very much inferior to the Tibetan goji berries in the medicinal sides. They're a lot cheaper to buy, and I would say more than 50% of the market that is sold as goji berries are actually wolfberries, and it's just people not knowing any better. Amchi brought goji berries to the US back in the 70s and created gojiberry.com, which is now part of Jampha. And we sell organic goji berries with their full certificates directly from the Amdo region of Tibet, which is the foothills of the Himalayas. It is the cleanest, most nutrient-dense soil in the world. And those in themselves have extremely high healing potential. And when they're used as a snack source for anybody that's trying to solicit a healing trajectory, they very much support that process. I think that's a good rundown on our products.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't help but take notes. I've actually tried Golden Eagle, and I'm super excited to try these other ones too. And yeah, I definitely know who's getting what for Christmas right now as well. Like I have a friend who has MS, and there's just, of course, so many people that need this, that can be supported by this. And again, without, the pharmaceutical industry and adding a bunch of things that actually are not bringing in awareness and health and beauty and that connection with yourself. I'm really excited about this Ethereum. Do you call it Normus or Ormus?
Ormus.
Ormus.
ORMUS. Ormus or monoatomic gold. And if you go to our website and look on our blog, there are two really good articles. They're now on the first page of Google because so many people read them, with really informative information that's unbiased and gives people a good idea of what they're consuming. Just to give you an idea, Ormus was made by the Egyptians, by the pharaohs. When they opened you can actually study this. When they opened one of the chambers, they found 5 tons of Ormus in powdered form that had fermented, but that was one of the things that they were buried with because of its insanely extreme value spiritually and esoterically in their practices.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think I might have, we have 22
We might have to give you a bottle for when you go to
I think I might need to bring some there. And it's interesting when you were talking about that, like the awareness and everything that these individuals have and have had for centuries. What was coming to me as you were explaining this product is when we were in Egypt, we went in February. It was insane how blasted open these people's third eye was. Like, people just come up to you and say, hey, I have a message to share with you. Is that okay? Like, do I have permission? And I'm going, yes, please. And just magic would flow. And, we're talking about all the distractions and the anxiety and the pain and all these things that have such potential from pulling us away from ourselves. And when we can remove all of that, what's left is so clear and so beautiful, and the level of
pristine awareness
that can come through. What's that?
I said pristine awareness. It's just pure
pristine awareness. Right.
And that's really where the greatest aspects of creativity flow from. They come from that place. And so every day it's my challenge to be in that place.
Yes, absolutely. Challenge accepted, right? Honor accepted. Yeah, so beautiful. So for those local, we do have these, and this is how I tried it, at Fusion Pharmacy. So, please come by and talk to us about it. But then will you also, Trinn, share, I know you shared gojiberry.com and, like, help us gain access to your blogs and your info and your websites and, how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, our website is Jampha, JAMPHA.com. When you come to our website, you'll see a sign-in that'll allow you to subscribe to our newsletter. If you just put your email address in there, you'll get our weekly newsletter, which has access to all of our blogs, information on the products, where it's starting to add different meditations and different lineages of teaching through Tibetan traditions, not religious in any nature, but purely enlightened, path to enlightenment, to understanding, and to that pristine awareness that we're talking about. And so there's so much information, everything that I've learned along this path of discovery. I've tried to just share it as much as possible with everybody. We're not trying to hide anything. We're trying to let people know what we're doing and be very transparent. And so you'll see that carry throughout the blogs. If you need assistance or would like help, we're available through chat on our website, also through email at love@jampha.com. You can contact one of our consultants who can help you on choosing the right products. We're also on Instagram and Facebook if you'd like to check us out there. We also have just to mention, a loving kindness assistance program. So if you're in need and you're not able to afford things financially, we do have a program to assist people that are in need. And you can find out more information about that on our website.
Wow, that's extraordinary. Thank you so much. And there's an event coming up. You'll be down here in Southern Utah. I'll unfortunately be gone. That's one of few things I could potentially be disappointed about while I'm in Egypt.
Oh, no.
There's not very many things that I'm like, gosh darn it, but I'm certainly looking forward to meeting you in person and experiencing your energy. But for those who are in Southern Utah or, just can make it, will you share a little bit about that event that will be happening and, what you'll be sharing there?
Yeah. Dad, do you want to share that? Dad's actually been setting up all of these meetings for us to come down there, so he can let you know what the details are.
Sure. So Fusion will be sending out a flyer to all of its distribution, announcing that there will be an event where Trinn and Karina will be speaking at the Fusion Pharmacy location on Riverside Road. And that will be, let me get, we've got a variety of them. So let me just,
I have it too that I can pull up here.
it's going to be, there's a Facebook Live session that will also be, you can go personally, and that will be at 7:30 to 9 a.m. on October 19th at the Riverside Drive location. So what we hope, and Kobe said, well, we have more room over at the Fusion Pharmacy location there at Riverside. So we hope that everybody will be able to, that can, come over about 7:30. That will be when it starts. It'll be about an hour-long conversation with Trinn. He'll share a lot of this information and much more. And then about a half hour of question and answer. So the event should be over by 9. Everybody needs to get on with their day. But we felt that something earlier in the morning might be more convenient for a variety of folks. So if you go to the Facebook location for Fusion Pharmacy that you're intimately aware of, Sarah, the flyer and more information about what Trinn and Karina will discuss is contained on that flyer.
Perfect. And I'll also put this in the comments of anywhere I post it. But Wednesday, October 19th, 7:30 a.m., Fusion Pharmacy, Riverside Drive, or you can join on Facebook Live. But how wonderful to be able to be there, and also, to ask personal questions, right? From each individual as far as what might be best for them or their loved ones, their family members, whatever it is. So it's a beautiful opportunity, and yeah, really excited for everybody who gets to go. So, wow. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
you
you
very much.